All right, ladies and gentlemen, we back here talking about some Monday Night Raw. Now, honestly, this show didn't really have much to it. It was basically used to set up next week's Raw, which is the 30th anniversary of Raw. So let's just get into it. The Usos and Solo Sikoa, they were in the ring. They wanted to address what happened on SmackDown. So they say that Kevin Owens is going to learn his final lesson from Roman Reigns at the Royal Rumble. They also say next week on Raw that every generation of the bloodline will be there to acknowledge the tribal chief Roman Reigns. And then they also mentioned their match against the Judgment Day for the Raw Tag Team Championships. So immediately the Judgment Day interrupt them. Finn Balor thanks Dominic for filling in for him because he got injured by Otis last week. And Damian Priest says that the Raw Tag Team Championships are coming back to Raw. At this point, I'm just like, alright, this is a long ass promo. I don't really care. Dominic Mysterio starts saying some stuff, and he gets Solo Sikoa upset. So him and Solo have a little face off, and then Rhea Ripley steps in, and then after that, everybody just started brawling. Solo Sikoa and Rhea Ripley had another face off, and then Ali basically interrupted him, and he had a crossbody on Solo Sikoa. Like I said, this segment was like way too long. I stopped caring like in the middle of it, and it wasn't really that interesting. So they go to commercial break. When we came back, we got Solo Sikoa versus Mustafa Ali. It was a pretty good match, basic but good. The Usos, they came out from the crowd. Then Kevin Owens came out to even the odds. Just when it looked like Ali was about to win, Solo Sikoa hit him with a Samoan spike, and he picked up the victory. So after the match, the brawl continued between Kevin Owens and the Bloodline, and then officials eventually broke it up. Next up, we got a Cody Rhodes promo package, and he announced that he's going to be back at the Royal Rumble. So instead of surprising us, they basically just announced it right then and there that he's going to be there. And I'm not sure why they would do that. Something tells me that there's a chance he might not win the Royal Rumble just because they announced it previously. But we'll have to see about that. The next match we got on this show was the Street Profits versus Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander. During the match, MVP came out to ringside to support Benjamin and Alexander. Towards the end, MVP distracted the ref, which led to a double team move by the heels onto Angelo Dawkins. And then Cedric rolled him up, but Dawkins reversed and the Street Profits won. Which kind of confused me, because what was the point of that spot if Dawkins was just going to win anyways? Anyways, next up, we got Becky Lynch. She came down to the ring from the crowd. She immediately called out Bayley. Bayley said that she was upset that Becky Lynch got called up in 2015 with Sasha Banks and Charlotte, and it should have been her. Becky Lynch said that she wasn't supposed to be the man, but she worked hard for this. And she also said that Bayley blames everybody but herself. So Becky Lynch, she challenged Bayley to a steel cage match next week, and then Bayley accepted it. Alright, so backstage, Dolph Ziggler, he was getting ready for a six-pack challenge match, which we'll talk about later. Ali interrupted him. He was still upset with everything that Ziggler did to him. So he punched him, and that was basically that. I'm not really sure where they're going with this segment between, or I should say storyline, between Ziggler and Ali. They might become a tag team. I really don't know, but it's something that, actually I'm lying, it doesn't interest me at all. Alright, so next up we got Elias versus Omos. We didn't know it was going to be Omos originally. We just knew that MVP had an opponent for Elias, who he announced was going to be the winner of the Royal Rumble match. So Elias made his entrance. MVP came out. He said Elias' opponent was going to be the winner of the Royal Rumble match and announced Omos. Apparently, this was Omos' return to Raw. I didn't even notice that he was gone because I guess I just didn't care. Basically, Elias had no chance. Omos, he won with a slam. Not too much to that. The next match we got on this show was Dominic Mysterio and Damian Priest from the Judgment Day versus Alpha Academy. Both of these teams are heels, so the crowd didn't really care, but they were up for Otis. So eventually in the match, Otis he gets a hot tag. The crowd comes alive. Otis gets offense on both men. He hit the worst worm ever, but the crowd still cheered. In the end, Gable he had Dominic in an ankle lock. Rhea Ripley distracted the ref, leading to Priest interfering, and Dominic pinned Chad Gable, so the Judgment Day win. Next up, we got Io Sky with Dakota Kai versus Mia Yim, and she came out with Candice LeRae. Not too much to this match. Mia Yim, she won. So next up, we got a segment between Bianca Belair and Alexa Bliss. Belair, she came down to the ring. She was still mad about what Alexa Bliss did to her a couple weeks ago. She called out Alexa Bliss and challenged her to a match at the Royal Rumble for the Raw Women's Championship. Bliss accepted. After all that talking, they started brawling at ringside and into the crowd. Bianca Belair attempted a KOD, in the crowd onto a couple of chairs. But after seeing Uncle Howdy like in the entranceway, she basically froze and then Bliss hit a DDT on the concrete. And I also wrote down here, it's funny that nobody came out to break this up, but they came out to break up Kevin Owens and the Bloodline earlier. Next up, we got Akira Tozawa versus Bronson Reed. This was a pretty good match to showcase Bronson Reed. Tozawa, he had a little comeback, but in the end, Bronson Reed, he had a big splash off the top rope for the win. Again, not too much to say about that. It was just a showcase match for Bronson Reed. And now we finally get to the main event. So we got Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor versus The Miz versus Dolph Ziggler versus Baron Corbin versus Bobby Lashley in a six-way elimination match. And the winner faces Austin Theory next week for the United States Championship. The crowd was excited for this match. They were pretty much on their feet for the whole match. It seemed like they were bored the whole show, but specifically for this match, they were on their feet the whole time. So I'm not going to get too much into detail. This was a good match, but it's kind of hard to call because it's a six-way, so it's like pretty much all over the place. I'll just name off the eliminations. So first, The Miz got eliminated by Seth Rollins after a curb stomp. Eventually, Dolph Ziggler got eliminated by Rollins after a pedigree. Then Balor got eliminated by Rollins after a curb stomp. Corbin, he got eliminated by Lashley after a spear. Omos and MVP, they came down to ringside later on in the match, and they were basically on Bobby Lashley's side. So all hell basically broke loose at ringside. Omos, he ate a curb stomp on the announce table by Seth Rollins. And when Seth Rollins got back into the ring, Lashley, he eliminated him with a spear. So the winner of this match is Bobby Lashley, and he's going to go on to face Austin Theory next week for the United States Championship. Like I said, this show wasn't really special. It was basically just to set up next week's Raw, which is going to be the 30th anniversary of Raw. So yeah, guys, if you made it to this point in the video, please drop a like, consider hitting that subscribe button, and I'm out.